What if I told you that in today's America, the rule of law isn't just under threat, it's being auctioned off to the highest bidder? From secret Epstein files to alleged bribes to rogue federal agents operating like a private army, this isn't a conspiracy theory. These are court records, sworn testimony, and Republican-appointed judges sounding the alarm. Tonight, we expose how power, corruption, and silence have collided at the highest levels of government. Thank you for joining us. What you're about to hear is not a campaign ad, not a social media rant, and not partisan speculation. This is a breakdown of sworn statements, federal court rulings, public records, and allegations raised inside the halls of Congress itself. Since January, the United States has witnessed an unprecedented expansion of executive power, not through legislation, but through force, intimidation, and the systematic erosion of constitutional guardrails. According to testimony delivered before Congress, Americans across the country now face increased risks that were once associated with authoritarian regimes, not democratic nations. A nation on edge. In this version of America, critics say, families face militarized federal operations in residential neighborhoods. Citizens risk detention by unaccountable agents. Americans have allegedly been wrongfully deported. Political critics face targeting for speech. These claims are not coming from fringe activists. They are being raised during official congressional hearings. And here's the most damning part. Congressional Republicans, according to this testimony, have abandoned their constitutional duty under Article 1. Instead of acting as a check on executive power, they are accused of handing over their authority in exchange for loyalty to the president. When the courts speak loudly, federal judges, including Republican-appointed judges, have repeatedly ruled against actions taken by the administration. One judge wrote, "The court cannot imagine how the public interest might be served by permitting federal officials to flaunt the very laws they've sworn to enforce." Another ruled, "Allowing constitutional rights to be dependent upon the grace of the executive branch would be a dereliction of duty by this third and independent branch of government." And in yet another case, the court stated bluntly, "As is becoming far too common, we are confronted again with efforts of the executive branch to set aside the rule of law in pursuit of its own goals." That phrase, far too common, is doing a lot of work. The Epstein shadow. Then comes the moment that silenced the room, an image of the president standing beside Jeffrey Epstein. Epstein, now universally recognized as one of the most prolific sex traffickers in American history, remains at the center of an unresolved scandal that refuses to disappear. For 8 weeks, Republicans on the Judiciary Committee have been accused of blocking efforts to release Epstein-related files that were repeatedly promised to the American public. First, officials campaigned on transparency. Then came a photo op with the Attorney General declaring, "The Epstein list is on my desk." Days later, the list allegedly didn't exist. Then it became a Democratic hoax. Now, the president claims to support releasing the files, while ignoring a congressional subpoena demanding exactly that. Critics argue the administration is crashing out because it cannot explain the decades-long relationship between Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein, a relationship already referenced in publicly available documents, but with key context still hidden. Ghislaine Maxwell and the pardon question. Then there's Ghislaine Maxwell, convicted of helping Epstein traffic more than 1,000 women and girls. The administration has reportedly refused to rule out a pardon or a sentence commutation. Let that sink in. At a time when survivors are still seeking justice, the possibility of executive mercy for a convicted sex trafficker has ignited outrage. As critics put it bluntly, there is no version of Law and Order where pardoning sex traffickers makes sense. Following the money. Next, the focus shifts to the Department of Homeland Security. Secretary Kristi Noem is accused of using taxpayer money to enrich political allies. According to public records, millions of dollars flowed to the Strategy Group. That same firm helped Noem win her gubernatorial campaign. Its CEO is married to her chief spokesperson. Her top advisor has deep ties to the firm. Critics say this is textbook corruption, public money redirected into private pockets through political favoritism. Alleged bribes and a killed investigation. Then comes perhaps the most explosive allegation. The so-called border czar, Tom Homan, is allegedly caught on tape accepting $50,000 in cash bribes stuffed into a brown paper bag from an undercover FBI agent. The alleged exchange? Federal contracts awarded to friends. According to testimony, the Department of Justice shut down the investigation. Congressional Republicans remained silent. No hearings, no outrage, no accountability. Weaponizing justice. Finally, attention turns to Ed Martin, described in testimony as an insurrectionist, a Nazi sympathizer, a political enforcer inside the Justice Department. Martin allegedly holds multiple overlapping roles, all designed to initiate lawsuits against the president's perceived enemies. This, critics argue, is not governance. It's organized crime with a federal seal. Break the law, cover it up, shut down investigations, then prosecute anyone who dares speak out. Meanwhile, real crime is ignored. While corruption dominates Washington, violent crime victims are left behind. Republican-led proposals include reportedly cutting thousands of FBI positions, slashing over $1 billion from the FBI budget, defunding the ATF, eliminating juvenile justice and hate crime grants, ending community violence prevention programs. The accusation is devastating. The same politicians shouting law and order are in practice defunding the police and abandoning public safety. So when you hear speeches about restoring order, remember the record. Court rulings, blocked subpoenas, hidden files, killed investigations, taxpayer money rerouted. This isn't about left versus right. It's about whether the rule of law still applies to the most powerful people in the country. Mr. Chairman, the evidence is on the record, and the American people are watching.